Phoenix, Arizona. It is an Neglected News Report. I'm your co-host, Scott Mitchell, along with my brother, Kevin.
Good afternoon.
And, I don't know what's wrong with that thing. I think it's the hard drives. Anyway, we're starting a few minutes late tonight. Sorry about that, folks. We had a little unforeseen emergency. Well, in our minds it wasn't. But anyway, guys, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. And, I thought I was waiting for you to say something.
No, we've been getting some rain.
It rained last night, but it's cleared up. It's kind of sunny out. And it's some weird weather lately here. I mean, it's been cool.
They said that this May and June has been one of the mildest on record. But mild in Arizona means not hot.
Yeah, we're talking like 90 or below.
Yeah, already right now. They say June is the hottest month in Arizona, and it's only hit 100 a couple times.
Yeah, I mean, it's like today, it's and in the mornings, it's only getting into the mid-70s.
Yep.
Even when it hit 100, it was only in the mid-70s.
Yeah, when the summer's fully cooking, it doesn't get below 90 degrees, period, and that includes at night.
No. That's when it pays to have a good air conditioning system in your house to filter out all the humidity. But I can't complain about it. I mean, it's the last 2 days off and on rain, and even when it's been on, it's been on. It's been heavy in some cases.
The only negative is I went out to dinner last night at a local Cajun restaurant that's really popular, and a lot of people. It's always packed.
Love that place.
And they typically have jazz out on the patio, but it was raining, so they didn't have it. So I was a little disappointed.
Yeah, that part kind of sucks. I don't remember there being jazz the 2 times I've been there.
Yeah, well, it depends. Depends on what time of year.
It's been a while
too.
It's been a while since I've been there.
They don't in the summertime. They typically don't have it when it's too warm out.
Yeah, but it's been, as we said, unseasonably cool. So much for climate change.
Yeah, we've tackled that subject many times.
Well, we got a lot of stuff today.
Yeah, like the Smitten Kitten.
Oh God, what a name!
Have you guys out there been following that? There's a school in Minnesota, and I don't know if you know about Minnesota, but Minnesota is a very liberal state. I hate that term. Let's call it a leftist state. You got a bunch of out of control progressives basically run it. Well, there was this school. I think it was a charter school, wasn't it, Scott?
They call it a democratic school.
Well, it's called Gaia Democratic School. In case you all aren't familiar who Gaia is, it's Mother Earth. It's pagan. It's goddess worship. I mean that's what it is. It's worshiping the creation instead of the creator. Well, anyway, that's not where the controversy is. The controversy is where they took some of the children for a field trip.
Yeah.
They took the children on a field trip to an adult bookstore. Well, they don't call it an adult bookstore. It's a shop that sells sex toys and adult novelties. And they took 10-year-olds and 13-year-olds.
The youngest one was 11.
Okay, 11-year-old, whatever.
Yeah.
It's
even worse.
It's, and this, what's the woman's name who runs this place?
Starry Hedges. And to really piss everyone off, Starry is spelled with an I instead of a Y. Yeah,
and she's totally very uncontrite. She's not contrite at all. She hasn't backed down. She thinks it's perfectly fine for her to take your children and subject them to sex toys, dildos and vibrators and things like that.
And one thing, we were trying to find some more information on her, and on her Facebook page, it shows her. It looks like she's worshiping the lake goddess with an offering.
And
you'll have to go see the page.
And they show a picture of
about.
the owner, Jennifer Pritchett, of the Smitten kitten. It's all females. Sorry, folks, but I don't know if you've experienced this phenomenon with among women these days. Is they're smitten. Excuse me for using that word. Smitten with sex toys. They have parties. The women get together and have parties where they buy and sell and do whatever with sex toys. Totally embarrassed about it. They're fully willing to sit there and talk about their masturbation habits with one another.
Here's another thing. They also have parties where they'll bring chocolates shaped like various male genitalia. Now, okay, here's the difference. You're going to say, well, guys do. No, we don't. We don't sit around and talk about our
trust me, we don't.
We don't sit around and talk about personal things like that. We do not sit down and eat chocolates that are shaped like female genitalia. And
we don't talk about our habits of masturbation with one another. That's a very, very typical with women. Trust me, I hear it. I mean, I've dated women who sell these things. They're called passion parties. Mm-hmm. It's rampant in the culture. And personally, I think they say it gets a woman in touch with her sexuality. No, I think it screws her sexuality up. I don't want to get into detail about it, but the overuse of sex toys is overstimulation, and it actually has a deleterious effect on a lot of women.
Good D word.
Well, I don't want to really get into it, but it's just more of the hypersexualization of a culture starting at a very young age.
And for those of you in Sholo, deleterious means negative. That's one way.
Now it's hard to broach this subject without coming off being a prude or whatever. I am far from a prude. However, it's like when you overuse anything, it becomes tedious and monotonous, and it loses its magic. And sex can happen.
It's like money. You print too much money, it's not worth as much. Same thing with this. It loses its value, its worth, or whatever.
It loses its zest. Mm-hmm. Salt. That's from the Bible. But savor. Yeah, there we go. Zest is fruit. But
it's soap too.
The main thing is that they're taking liberties with your children. Now, granted, the parents who send their kids to Gaia Democratic School deserve what they get. I mean, you can just tell by the title of the school what you're getting. Mm-hmm. Even that being said, the parents are outraged, as they should be. Now, you tell me what's the difference here? Let's say I walk up to some kids aged 11 to 13 in a park with a bunch of porno magazines. Mm-hmm. And start showing them to them. I don't know if that's pedophilia, but it's certainly predatory behavior. Mm-hmm. And so is this. There's so many directions you can go. It's like, first of all, they've got a lot of gall, for one. Mm-hmm. And secondly, what is the motivation behind it?
Oh, but the point has to be made that Miss whatever, I don't know what she is, Hedges made the point of saying that no children were exposed to pornography while there, and I'm thinking, well, thank God for that.
So why bring them there? So what's the point? Why are you bringing them to an adult bookstore? And there is an undercurrent here, mm-hmm. and it's sinister. It's not good. Why? And they hide it. They call it sex education. Mm-hmm. I guess NAMBLA, North American Man-Boy Love Association, could say the same thing about their program, that they're just teaching young boys about their sexuality. That's how they couch the whole thing.
It's funny. It reminds me of an old episode of South Park. Oh. The NAMBLA episode. It's like these guys would say, but we are just exercising our desire to have close, intimate relationships with young boys and share with them and everything. And then one of the kids, I think it was Stan, pulls the guy's jacket. He says, dude, you're having sex with kids.
Well, what's funny? I have a friend years ago. I used to joke with him. make jokes about, NAMBLA, North American Man Boy Love Association. And he'd go, oh, you're sick. Until one day he called me, he says, hey, there's really an organization called NAMBLA. You didn't tell me that. I said, well, what did you think it was? You think I made that up? No, it's real. And the thing is, it's so outrageous that people can't wrap their minds around it. Sort of like this.
Is this someone I know?
RH.
Write his name down. Oh, RH. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Oh, he still gets a chuckle about it today. I think South Park probably enlightened a whole generation of people about NAMBLA.
That's what I like about the show. It's wrong on so many levels, but it does bring a lot of things, because it doesn't matter who they are. They will write a show about them. It doesn't matter what group it is, and they bring a lot of important things, I think, to light a lot of the time.
Now, this particular situation, 10 years ago, she might have found herself in jail. You know. Now, I would posit that if this was a male teacher, he would be in jail right now. Bringing a bunch of underage children into an adult bookstore is really what it is.
You bet.
He would be in jail, but somehow this Starry Night or whatever.
Starry Hedges
sounds like a porn star herself.
It does, doesn't it?
Somehow, not only does she not end up in prison, but she's totally uncontrite. She does. She's like she's doubling down, man. She's like, no, I have nothing to feel sorry for, and blah blah blah, because she's probably been brainwashed, her whole life as to the difference between right and wrong.
Although the point has to be made that she was once a good Catholic girl, and that's what it says on her website. Yeah,
we could go a lot of different directions with that too, but I don't want to offend people. It starts with the little Catholic girl outfits.
Yeah, Grandma would start to spin in her grave too.
Yeah, we were raised by a really Irish Catholic grandmother.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So this I've got a couple companion stories. So this is they're suffice it to say that a lot of parents are pulling their kids out of school, and they I think they're talking about legal. Pursuing.
They're asking for her resignation too.
Yeah, she doesn't want to, and she said, along with sex toys, condoms, leather products, and DVDs, the store offers workshops similar to the one students took part in during the field trip. Some students purchased condoms. Parents said. When you go on her Facebook page, she's just a little. What you would expect a graduate from the female studies department at any university. And I'll guarantee this. I was telling Scott before we went on today. I would wager, 95% sure that she's probably a Wiccan as well.
Well, if they name the school Gaia.
Well, when you're a Gaia worshiper, the goddess worshiper, they go hand in hand. Yep. It's all paganism. It's all. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, guys, but we have no way of corroborating this. But if you've ever seen like the Ten Commandments or the Bible, the movie, the old Cecil B. DeMille movies, like you watch the section on, I forget which one it was in. It was the Bible or the Ten Commandments. It was the Bible. It showed George C. Scott as Abraham going to rescue his nephew Lot from Sodom and Gomorrah, and when they get there. All of the inhabitants of the cities are covered with piercings and tattoos. And you know what? I look at it and I'm seeing that right now.
And you're seeing goddess worship right now.
Exactly. Which is going back to the pagan worship of the Old Testament.
Yeah. I mean, how many little
of Baal and
how many hippie girls you drive by with bumper stickers over their car talking about Wiccan, Gaia, blah blah blah. It's more of the same. So now that we see these Bible movies being put out there, like Noah, who portrays Noah as a crazy drunk man.
Yeah, exactly. And if I'm not mistaken, in the Bible, only once did it ever say that he was drunk. Once. That's it. And that was when his daughters went into him, as they call it, into his tent, and he was drunk and
naked,
spilled the seed and all that stuff.
Yeah,
like the Bible put it.
Yeah, but they want. The left wants to take any opportunity they can to discredit anything that comes from the Christian Bible. So I got a couple companion articles about this. This is, and again, we're going to come off as probably some of you are going to consider us misogynist and so forth, but it's an observation.
Who cares?
It's an observation that you can't ignore. Okay, the second article it's entitled "Bay Area Teacher Reportedly Asked Students to Snap Selfies with Parents' Sex Toys." Okay, this is going on in your schools. It's just a short little paragraph here. It says a Bay Area teacher is in hot water for a risque homework assignment, reportedly asking students to take selfies with their parents' sex toys. Now, I would say 95% of the sex toys that are sold to women, not men. I mean, there's only so much, use your imagination. The teacher's extra credit assignment requested that Encino High School students scour through their parents' dresser drawers in search of condoms, sex toys, or anything provocative and snap a selfie of themselves, according to KPIX TV. It is unclear whether any students actually turned in the assignment or what the teacher may have done with the assignment. It's also unknown which class this was an assignment for and why. When high school officials heard about the teacher's homework assignment, they contacted administrators with the Alameda Unified School District, who launched an investigation into the allegations, district spokeswoman Susan Davis said. The teacher's gradebooks were examined and parents and students were interviewed, she said. Because of the allegations, the teacher was placed on leave. We take reports like this seriously, Davis said. We know that it's hard for the public and especially for parents to hear that we can't talk about the details of the investigation in public. But that information has to be kept confidential, both to protect the rights of all involved and to preserve the integrity of the investigation. Despite the ongoing investigation, parents are demanding the teacher be fired. District officials expect to wrap up their investigation next week. Blah, 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 blah. Now, it doesn't mention the sex of this teacher. I'll guarantee it. It's more of the same with what we just experienced with the Smitten Kitten case. Guaranteed. Because that's where so many young women are these days. They're 50 Shades of Grey.
Yep.
That's female porn. It sold, 50 million copies? Something crazy.
It's ridiculous.
They have parties to go see 50 Shades of Grey where women put up with physical abuse to get their jobs.
Let's put it this way. Who is probably in the last 20, 30 years the number one selling author in the world?
She. Oh, is that a man who wrote? No,
Stephen King.
Oh, no. I was talking about the one who wrote 50 Shades
I know what you're saying. But, other than that, then the guy or woman or whoever wrote it, Stephen King's probably in the last 20, 30 years the number one selling author in the world. But that one book sold probably more than 5 or 6 of his combined. That's to put it in perspective.
Yeah, there's something going on, and I think you can... the pushing of the whole cougar thing, the woman predator, the older woman, preying on typically young boys, sometimes young women.
They even had a TV show.
Yeah, it's glorified,
Courtney Cox was in it.
And if you were to, juxtapose that situation with an old man predator, young woman, it would be considered perverted. But somehow this is elevated. This is celebrated, and many women strive to emulate it. And this next one it deals with that specifically. I'm sure a lot of you have known over the years that it's not unknown that teachers. Think about the Sting song, "Young Teacher, the subject of schoolgirl
Roxanne.
No, it's not.
Oh, don't stand so close to me.
Don't stand so close to me. It's about an older man and a young.
And he used to be a teacher. That's where he got it from.
It's about potential relationships between teachers and students, but that typically was always not relegated, but relegated.
The first line is the teacher, the subject of schoolgirl fantasies. Yeah. It's a roundabout way of saying it.
So it used to be a basically male teacher, female student paradigm, and I saw it a lot when I was in high school.
But how often did the male teacher act on it? really act on it?
Oh, in our school, I can name almost half a dozen.
I can think of one.
Some of them are married to him today.
I know one.
I know a few.
Okay.
I'm not going to name names, but they're
okay. I wasn't aware it was that prevalent.
Pedophiles. There was in another day we call them pedophiles. But anyway, what I'm getting is that whole thing is being reversed, and
as are so many things.
In the Daily Mail out of England, who is known for some provocative stories, and I'm not going to read you this whole thing, but it says after. Oh boy, this didn't print up too well. Why the question asked is, why are so many women teachers seducing boy pupils? And it just it's a whole litany. There's pictures of these young little strumpets, 30 something year olds, and little schoolboys in uniforms. And the question, and they give a whole litany of, basically they don't go to jail. Mm-hmm. They go to counseling. And they get their hands slapped. One woman isn't allowed back in the teaching profession, but she didn't get any jail time, which a male teacher would. Mm-hmm. But they're asking the question, and why is this happening? What is it? And they've thrown out all sorts of things. It's because how can I put it? It's part of female culture these days to want to be this cougar, this predator, it gives them a sense of power. It gives it, they've got a weaker, younger, powerless
excuse me,
prey that they prey on, that gives them this sense of, this, I guess it adds to their sexual,
May I interject something that's kind of a related subject? We're going back to the book sales of 50 Shades of Grey. Mm-hmm. Out of the top 20 all-time best-selling authors, Stephen King's number 20, believe it or not, with between 300 and 350 million. Out of the top 20, fully one quarter, 5 out of the top 20 are what type of writer?
Sex.
Romance.
Romance, yeah.
You got Barbara Carlin with as many as 100 or a billion. Danielle Steele with 800 million at the most. Corin Toledo, who I have no idea, it's Spanish, 400 million. Jackie Collins with 400 million, and at number 18, Nora Roberts with 400 million. I mean, that just I've gotten to know. I've been divorced for several years now, and I've gotten to know, get in the heads of a lot of 30, 40, 50-year-old women, and trust me, a lot of what they discuss and a lot of what they talk about is sex. Mm-hmm. They attribute all a man wants is sex. No, you gotta gotta open your ears. You gotta know what's going on here. I had a roommate whose girlfriend said, you don't understand it, to me one day when I was excuse my language, ragging on her about, can you talk about anything other than sex? She says, you don't understand how important it is to me. Yeah, you know what? So is breathing air and drinking water. Sooner or later, it just loses its... Well, it's all about... I mean, this goes back... This stuff started like 25 years ago or so. Really, I mean, in full bore. I mean, think back to the first hit by Christina Aguilera. What a Girl Wants. What a Girl Needs.
Now,
and it's just continued.
The question then is, okay, are they talking sex? Are they talking love? Are they confusing the two? Or I haven't quite figured it out, but I think it's just sex, and they've been.
I think it's become that
they've brainwashed themselves into thinking they can't be fulfilled human beings without being sexual first. That's the motivation first. If you go sit in the grocery line one time and look at the women's magazines. That's all it is, man. It basically,
the worst.
Ladies, it basically makes you look like bimbos, makes you look like morons. Nobody likes sex more than me or anybody else. But you know what? There's a whole world out there, a whole big world.
When you put that at the top of your list, even the top 10 of things that are important in your world, you got a problem. I don't care if you're male or female.
Man, I would love to broach this subject, but it's too graphic, so I can't. But I can tell you, I have some
female acquaintances.
Well, I have some empirical evidence of how this whole culture has really actually desensitized many women in the sex department.
And this is kind of a good tie-in into what I had to talk about.
Well, hold on. Let me finish something.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
They say that pornography is ruining a lot of men. Well, yes, but it's also ruining women. I mean, there's, it's just they just go about it differently. So I think what's happening is there's this ubiquitous, in your face, all over the place sex has really actually made us very less erotic, less sensual. It's become more of a
I see what you're saying with that, because I look at a lot of women nowadays that are very attractive. I just don't feel it when I see them, whether on TV or in real life or whatever. I just don't feel it. I'm wondering if it's because of what's transpired in the last 25 years or so when it comes to the way women interact with men, or the image of women that has been put forth in media and whatnot.
Well, okay. I just
maybe it's I've gotten older. I don't know.
No, I think it's done. There's a reason for it. I think anything that drives a wedge between, and this drives a wedge. This whole sex thing drives a wedge between men and women.
I think it's because women have become less feminine.
Well, I don't know.
Less ladylike.
I don't know. It's
less ladylike, maybe.
It's just.
I don't know.
I can't tell you how many times I've been in situations where I've been literally grabbed. I mean,
believe it or not, I have once or twice myself.
No, I mean, I'm talking the last few months.
Oh.
It's like, okay, I'm not offended, but what kind of reaction you expecting from me, lady? What are you? I mean, yeah. So you grabbed me. So what now? Do you want me to take you home or what? What a bimbo.
Maybe she wanted to make sure you're a real man.
Like what? I wasn't Bruce Jenner.
Yeah, or the female counterpart of Bruce Jenner.
Oh, did we talk about her last week?
I believe so.
Have you heard about how they transform the male genital into the female?
No, but I've heard the other way around.
Well, they take the inside of the penis and split it open and make that into the vagina. Oh. So this is where we've come. I'm sorry if I'm offending people out there, but we need to be offended about certain things. I mean,
yeah.
I like Bruce Jenner. I feel sorry for Bruce Jenner because I think he's very confused. If Bruce Jenner moved in next door to me, I'd invite him over for a beer and I'd hope to be his friend, or Caitlin or whoever. But I don't calling him brave and calling him a hero, no. and the ESPN wanted to give him an ESPY.
No, they did give it to him.
They did? Oh, well.
And the guy who was the runner-up was the guy who was
double amputee. Right?
Yeah, he lost an arm and a leg.
And then they also were considering the young girl whose dream it was to make the college basketball team before she died of cancer, and she did. I mean, those are legitimate, but I'm sorry. Basically, what I consider Bruce Jenner is he's a high-tech drag queen. Mm-hmm. I mean, because basically, he's got an X and Y chromosome. All he's done is he's decided to engage in self-mutilation and to make it appear that he's a woman. All I can ask is for you out there who believe that somehow he's made this jump, this leap from man to woman. Let me ask you something. If he had decided to do that and we were capable of doing that when he was 21, do you think it would have been right to allow him to compete in the Olympics as a woman? No, you wouldn't, because he's not.
Someone made the point, too. You might change him hormonally and cosmetically to look like a woman, but when it comes down to the chromosomal level, he's still a man.
Yeah, that's pretty pretty much locked in concrete, folks. You know, this is the creator. You're messing with the creation, and he made it a lot more difficult than just genitals. I mean, it's we're talking at a a smaller level than you can even imagine. And when I talk creator, I'm not talking Charles Darwin, by the way.
No,
I'm talking the creator, the guy who designed DNA and
Gad.
Yeah, Gad.
We're on a mission from Gad.
So it's hard to get around talking about this stuff without people calling you misogynist. And the thing what we're discussing here right now, we're talking about the ways in which men and women are really changing in a fundamental way, and not a good way. I think you're seeing men becoming feminized and women becoming I don't know if it's masculinized, definitely hypersexualized, and but that's actually a misnomer, because I don't believe they're hypersexualized. I believe they're actually I don't know, perverted. But
anyway, read an interesting article this week. They did a study, and I don't recall where it was done. It was a study about addiction. And what they did was they took white rats, put them into individual cages, and they gave them 2 water tubes to drink from. One was regular water, the other one was water mixed with heroin or opium. Within, I don't know how long the study was done for, but after a little bit, the rats just started drinking the water out of the one laced with the drugs until they died. Then they took a bunch of rats and put them into a communal cage with other rats and a bunch of toys. None of the rats, other than when their first initial experimentation with it, drank from the laced water that was laced with the drugs, and they all lived. The conclusion that was drawn by the researchers was that you will not become addicted to drugs if you're not bored.
Well, we actually have historical empirical evidence to prove that. In the old Soviet Union, what did they take away from man?
Alcohol.
Well, I'm getting there, but they took a man's incentive, because there was no upside to have incentive. You got paid the same no matter how hard you worked or what you did or whatever. The state controlled all that. So there was a lot of idle time. And what happened with the idle time? Men became drunks. Mm-hmm. And I've got a little story about that. When I was taking an advanced Russian course in the military when I was in Munich, and we were assigned each one teacher, and we did one-on-one all day. We would sit in a room, across from each other, and just have conversations, or we'd hop on a train and go down into Munich and have lunch, or you can go to a pub and have a beer or whatever. All the time speaking in Russian. Well, I was assigned to this woman. Her name was Ludmila, and Ludmila had this really low opinion of men. And as I would listen to her and talk to her more, either it was because men were totally emasculated by the state, and they became drunks and so forth. Yeah, there was nothing to like about them. They were, but I told her, but my argument with her was, because it's not that's man's innate, behavior. It's because they were destroyed, and the Soviet system destroyed them. And she hated. She requested that I be assigned to another teacher, which I was, because we did not get along at all. Because she had that typical feminist attitude: men suck. What's the old Gloria Steinem adage about the fish in a bicycle?
A woman needs a man as much as a fish needs a bicycle.
Yeah, and that was her basic premise. Although she doesn't realize that she was propped up. Her husband was the state all along, and it still was. So she wasn't an independent woman at all. So anyway,
but anyway, that I got thinking about that whole thing, and I applied it to how society has, I'm not going to say evolved. I don't consider it evolved. I think we've devolved. How society has changed. And you look at just everything around us, media, in the media mainly, and it's like we have something like, okay, good example, iPhone owners. You got an iPhone. A year and a half later, the new one comes out, and you're not satisfied with keeping a perfectly functioning iPhone. You gotta get the next one. You have to have it because your desire for the latest iPhone has been fulfilled by the one you already have. You need a new one. I'm guilty of it to a certain extent, but I try to get as much life as I can on my phones, and I usually replace them when the one I have starts giving me problems.
Typically, when your battery starts wearing down is when I trade mine, which is usually when my contract's up.
When mine starts slowing down, and I've since figured out one of the best things you can do on your cell phone every so often, and I know it's beyond the scope of most people's ability to do, but wipe it clean and reload the OS, especially if it's right after an upgrade of the OS from your carrier, because that causes problems. Did
you hear that the Galaxy S6 Edge is you're gonna be able to charge the phone without plugging in?
Cool.
Yeah, it's just
When's it due out?
It's out right now.
I can't get it for a little while. I'm not due for an upgrade for a while.
It has a screen that actually wraps around the side.
Oh wow!
It's pretty cool, and it's made out of metal and glass.
Oh, and another thing, folks, just keep as an update or an FYI, at the end of July, the new Windows 10 is going to be out, and it's free for Windows 7 and above users for 1 year. Then you have to pay for it, and the plan is to transition Windows into not buying a new version every few years, but instead as Windows as a service. You load this Windows 10, and then what they'll do is just push out updates as needed. Anyway, going back to our subject. Think of another thing. I look at slasher movies. Back when we were in high school, we thought Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street movies were just the goriest you can get, you know? But no. Then we moved up to movies like the Saw movies.
I won't watch those.
I've never seen any of them. But no, they couldn't just have one Saw movie. They've had something like 6, right? Is it?
I don't know, but its intention is to desensitize.
Exactly. It's to desensitize you. And that, I think, has played a large part in the stuff we just spoke about earlier. People are not shocked by things anymore. Maybe we need to be.
I was listening to Beck the other day, and he was talking about how you need to go look at the beheadings on YouTube just so you know what we're really up against. No, Glenn, I get it. Trust me. I don't need to see someone's head sawed off.
Right.
I totally get it. I don't need to see someone being murdered to know that they're murdered and it's wrong. So, I don't need to see that stuff. Some people, they post them. Sometimes you're just bombarded with this stuff. I turned it on Facebook the other day, and I was greeted by woman catches man having sex with underage daughter, and she slashed him. And they show this man with big old hunks of meat sitting off of him and stuff, and I'm like, did I need to see that? No. I don't want to see that.
But it's the same with everything in this society. I think it also goes to everyone has to be special. Everyone has to win a trophy. That kind of thing. I think it has to do with that because we become addicted with what? Stardom.
Yeah, but I don't know what that had to do with slasher stuff.
No, not with the... Well, because we become... It's another addiction, is what I'm saying. I mean, it's desensitization. How you become addicted to something is you become desensitized to the taboos surrounding it.
What that does, what you were just talking about, giving out prizes for nothing, is it takes away the incentive to be excellent. Because when I was a kid, for instance, I like to play trivia, NTN trivia. It's buzz time.
I do too when I get out.
And you're given points every game you play just because you played it. And a lot of guys, a lot of people go, well, look how many points I have. and I always tell them, I don't. I like to win. I want to win every game. I don't care. I don't need. You get points for just showing up, and basically I tell them that's just gauges how many beers you've drank over the years. You get points just for being there. I want to win. I want to be rewarded for what I know, and I don't need participation points. I don't care about them.
Well, and it's like another example is back when we were kids. You had movie stars like you have now, but guess what? They didn't set out to become a movie star. They set out to be an actor. They were given the title of movie star once they proved themselves. People nowadays are getting in. They say, "What do you want to be? What do you want to be?" I want to be a movie star. I want to be a star. And now we have so many people that are called stars by the media that it's lost its value. And it's like, I don't even know how. And I
don't know.
Ask Kevin. Growing up, I was always Mr. Counterculture, not counterculture guy, but Mr. Popular Culture guy. I knew, and it's the same with music to a certain degree too, but not as bad. But I knew who all the actors and actresses were, what movies they were, who was with who, whatever. I don't know anymore. I don't know who is this Channing Tatum guy or this Ryan Reynolds.
I don't know, but the Daily Mail loves saying, "Hey, look, we caught so-and-so.
Call me old, but I don't care.
We caught so-and-so and so-and-so on the beach. Ha, ha, ha." And I'm like, who are they? I don't even know who they are.
I know a few because I have seen some of their movies. Some of the ones like Shia LaBeouf from the Transformers movies because he's been in a few of them. People like that and Emma Stone. But
well, I've always been.
Tobey Maguire.
I've always been curious and fascinated by the cult of personality.
No kidding.
If you think about this, before the 20th century, what were actors? They were glorified. They were just carnies.
Yeah.
They would travel in troops, and they would go entertain. Sometimes nobility. Sometimes,
there was vaudeville also.
Yeah, they were just carnies. They would when they were done in one town, they'd go to the next and make their couple bucks or whatever. But it wasn't until Thomas Edison, who created celluloid film, and it went on the big screen, that changed everything. Then all of a sudden, people got really, really famous. They called it the silver screen. And all of a sudden they became bigger than life. But really, underneath it all, they're just carnies. That's all they are. They've got a skill. They can act, and then they can pretend they're somebody else, but they're just carnies. And we take so much stock in what Sean Penn has to say about anything, and he's the ultimate carny. Sorry, but
I think it's. You might say I'm wrong, but I was talking with someone about this, and they kind of agreed with me. I think music is a little more pure still than movies are. Sure, you got your One Directions and your Backstreet Boys and your in sync, but it's kind of hard to fake it in music.
Yeah, but I agree with you there. However, I've been reading a lot and following how the music industry works, and you don't just by accident get into the music industry. You're chosen. You're molded. You're not even many times allowed to be creative. There was an interesting article in one of the British magazines about that, and that it's just all a sham. What you think that people just kind of battle their way up and so forth. They don't. They don't. They have managers. They have handlers. They have. It's not what you think, but so you've got people out there that have been chosen to be, pop stars and so forth. That really.
But what I'm saying is, it's another addiction, though. In this society, we become addicted to fame.
Yeah. And
we've also a lot of people have become addicted to famous people.
Well, you know what the biggest. I mean, I can just go the whole litany of them, from the Kardashians to Jersey Shore. Aren't you America? Aren't you embarrassed?
Stop making stupid people famous.
Yes, aren't you embarrassed? I didn't even know who the Kardashians were until I met this girl.
I know who their birth father was because of his association with O.J. Simpson.
He was a lawyer. But I didn't even know who the Kardashians were until I met this woman who watched the Kardashians. And I was watching her watching it one day, and I'm looking at this. I'm thinking, you can really watch this for hours? What is this? Is nonsense. This is garbage. But she was addicted to it. She was addicted to all sorts of pop culture.
I love Mark Burnett. He's Roma Downey's husband. They've done the Bible and AD. The Bible continues. But did you have to create Survivor? That's what started this whole freaking reality TV thing going about 20 years ago. That has been the curse upon this society, entertainment-wise, because the networks love this stuff because they're cheap to produce.
How many people, how many women, young girls, do you think have gotten, because they wanted to be popular, ended up becoming prostitutes?
A lot of them.
I've read many articles about it.
Did you read that? As a matter of fact, did you read what the article in The Blaze that I reposted on Facebook this morning? Stu Bergier was watching this documentary on Netflix called Hot Chicks Wanted. What it is, it's a documentary about young girls just barely out of high school going from one day being, Miss Susie Cream G's white as driven snow high school cheerleader becoming porn star on the internet.
Well, let me tell you something.
Because they're lured by money and the promise that they'll be famous.
But that's funny you said money. There was a day when female porn stars had some cred. They had some value to them. Let's say you're, I don't know, Marilyn, what was
Chambers.
Marilyn Chambers, and I wouldn't say Linda Lovelace because she was abused. But I don't know who name
Tracy Lords.
Yeah, okay. There's a couple of them right there. Those women made a lot of money, but they say that porn is just so prevalent now that women don't make anything, and they take to being prostitutes.
I watched a documentary on Netflix once called Beyond Porn, and it was about former porn stars, most of which were female, about what's happened since they left porn. One of them used it as a means to go to school, get money for her college education, and she's actually a member of Mensa. But ever since she left, her life's been up and down, up and down, up and down. And it just, she's got money, thank God, because she married someone who had a lot of money, and she herself had a lot of money too, earned a lot from it.
Oh, are you talking? Does she live in Germany or in Europe?
I don't think so.
Because I saw an article about this woman. She made a lot of money, and she lives actually a pretty nice lifestyle now. But
no, her stage name is Asia Carrera.
But because of the prevalence now of porn. A female porn actress is a dime a dozen, so they don't make nearly what they used to make.
The industry spits them up and chews them out, or chews them up and spits them out.
Yeah, I've got opinions about that whole thing. The guy who runs this world loves it when he sees the prevalence of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So. What else were we going to... We talked about Bruce Jenner.
You're going to go into the thing about the Soros.
Yeah, I'm thinking, we're going from sex and, sex toys and so forth. It's kind of hard to make a segue into George Soros in the Ukraine.
I had one, but I forgot what it was.
I was looking for something, maybe something more lighthearted that I had something today and I forgot what it was oh gosh, what I miss. I don't know what. It's just hard for me to go into Soros right now, but I guess I will. It's a terrible segue, but
real quick, I'm just scanning my Facebook feed, and someone I know on there, a female, of course, writes. E.L. James, you effing rocked those 50 Shades books. Damn, I want more. Got me so hooked. Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. See, we're not making this stuff up, folks.
No, I can tell you, I can just tell you, scores and scores and scores of conversations I've had. I wish I could tell you, because it's I can't say it over the airwaves and say it over the internet. It's just graphic, and I can just tell you what goes on in the minds of young women. And I'm not talking all.
Right.
I would like to think my daughters aren't that way, but I know many that are. And they're just obsessed with it, and it's just their whole identity is wrapped up in it, and it's really actually pretty sad. I'm looking here. I'm scrolling through. I wanted to find something this was really funny about. This is interesting. The bird flu. You've been following the bird flu?
Yeah, I heard about that one.
They're talking about egg rationing in America right now, because they're killing because of the bird flu. There's not only going to be a shortage of chicken, but there's going to be a shortage of eggs, and eggs go into a lot of things.
Combine that with the shortage of bees. Let me give you an example. This is personal. I've got a small container garden on my patio. I've got 24 5-gallon buckets filled and a bunch of smaller ones filled. My peppers and tomatoes are not producing that much and I'm noticing it's because the flowers are dying before they're fertilized, before they're pollinated. I haven't seen, for a little while I saw a bunch of bees and stuff. I haven't seen a heck of a lot of them. What's going on with the bees, folks?
Yeah, and also what's going on with the drought in California. I don't know if any of you have ever had the pleasure of driving through the Salinas Valley in Central California, which is the breadbasket of the world, by the way.
Is that up where Dad lives?
Yeah, he's there. He's down closer to he's at Fresno, which is down by Bakersfield and so forth. But by Monterey, where I was stationed there for a while, just you look out over the valley, and it's just this lush, beautiful, just miles and miles and miles of just. Of crops, just beautiful. It's just almost looks like it's something out of a painting. But now that's going away. It's there's just people that it's brown now. There's people can't. The water's being rationed. It's there's a lot of weird stuff going on out there as far as the world is concerned, the natural world. We're talking about the bees, and now we're talking bird flu. I heard there's also I heard from a butcher some months back at my local grocery store that there was a virus in the pig with the pigs in the pigs, so that pork was going to be going crazy. I haven't seen that as far as prices are concerned yet, but I
love pork. But
I knew the eggs. The eggs was coming down the pike. I heard that a couple weeks ago. I didn't even think about that. When you think about the bird flu, you think about the birds themselves dying and not being able to have any chicken, but you forget about the eggs.
There must be something in the water too in California, because there's a quote here by Bill Maher on Caitlyn Jenner adoration. She's not Rosa Parks. What is it with him? I'm finding myself agreeing with him more and more in the last 6 months. Some of the stuff, he's becoming sensible in some things, at least.
Well, yeah, I like it when the left and the right can come together and point out the absurd when it's absurd. I mean, we don't have to take political stances all the time. We can just look at a situation and say, really?
See, things have to be politicized. So many things become politicized that have no business being politicized, that whenever you even mention anything, and people say, I don't talk politics. Well, by saying that, you are politicizing it. Good example, case in point right now, the Duggar family situation. Josh Duggar, and it's admitted, he molested two of his sisters 10 years ago. He was 17, they were younger than that. And his family, he told his family, he was contrite about it. He has changed his life in the last 10 years, but they sealed the records of what happened. but someone released them, and they shouldn't have released them. Now, you are seeing on the left, you are seeing just condemnation. You're a monster. You're sick. All that stuff. On the right, for the most part, they're saying, give the kid a break. Give the guy a break. He's paid his penance. It's 10 years ago. Then they're also saying how the Duggar family are diabolical for not sharing this with everyone and everything. What do you think about Lena Dunham in her book for saying that she coerced her little sister when she was a teenager into letting her molest her? She's a darling of the left.
Again, Scott, we're talking women are judged differently than men are.
Or Bill Clinton's friend, Epstein, first name, I forget his first name. Was it Epstein was his last name?
Yes, Epstein.
Who ran the child prostitution ring. It was convicted on it. You don't hear a lot about that, do you? But no, you get the Duggars who are actually trying to take the pieces of what could have ended up a life in shambles and try to put it back together. And this is before they had the TV show, too.
The thing about these Lena Dunhams of the world is they're like spoiled children. They can say what they want with impunity. They don't. They really have no. What was that scene from As Good as It Gets when Jack Nicholson walks past the receptionist and say, How do you know women so well? And what did he say?
Hang on a minute. He goes, I just think of a man and take away all thought and reason and responsibility.
Yeah, and I think of that. When I think of Lena Dunham, because she doesn't have any responsibility. She can say what she wants
or reason.
She can insinuate that this guy she went to college with was a rapist.
You know what it is with her, and a lot of them is. It's all ego-based. I want, so I'll do.
But society is guilty because we're not holding them responsible for anything they say or do.
It's vicarious. It's vicarious satisfaction.
On their part, yes, I get that. I get their narcissists. I get all of that.
No, I'm talking about the people who follow them. They're getting a vicarious thrill through them.
Well, yeah, but there's got to be adults out there that say, "Hey, whoa! You know what?
That would be us.
Molesting your little sister is not good. No, that guy didn't rape anybody you went to college with. It's been pretty much proven. Hold them to some sense of reason. They get away with this crap. Mm-hmm. I mean, and all you got to do with a man, if you want to ruin his world, his reputation, and it happens all the time during divorce proceedings, is just throw the little seed of doubt out there. Well,
yep.
You child molester.
That's all you have to do. Look, the Duke Lacrosse case, perfect example. They were exonerated. It was proven that they had nothing to do with it. It was all a big put on by this, quote, victim. And that's all there was. But their reputations are ruined.
They were kicked out of school. They were run out of town, so to speak.
On a rail.
And and of course nothing's ever, left never apologizes.
Nope. Never.
They just for some reason a woman's word is worth more than 7 men's words. Yep. I mean, and she was a topless dancer or an adult entertainer or whatever. Yep. Prostitute, or I don't know what she was, but somehow she was believed, and the boys who had no prior records, who came from good families, had good grades and so forth. So in school they were dragged through the mud. Yep. It's just this. It's this. Somehow we're at this point in our history where it doesn't matter what's being alleged or whatever. It only matters who's alleging it.
Oh, exactly. No doubt about it.
I mean, if you're of the proper race,
proper color, proper protected group,
proper gender, it's you've already got you got a leg up on it.
Or if you're a kid, it's for the children.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
I still like my favorite line ever regarding that was Judy Tenuta the comedian. She's talking about kids. She goes, "Hey, I'm good with kids. Not as good as Michael Jackson, but I'm good as kid with kids." Anyway, guys, with that being said, that's it for this week's show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I don't even think we hit everything, did we?
Oh, no, I didn't get into the politics, only because we spent so much time on the misogynist,
democratic
the misogynist stuff, which I'm sure a bunch of you will accuse
look up Starry Hedges this week, guys. StarryHedges. Look her up.
Not going to like what you see.
No, oh, definitely. All right, folks, we'll see you next week. Have a good week.
Adios.
Oh, God. This is just, I can't even play the music because it's just locking up. Oh, there we go. See you later.